Hi, Esther here with EP Self-Defense Initiative. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your space with us at this time. We're going to try to make this really quick, but informational at the same time. So I plan to honor your time by being brief. Today we're going to be discussing a little bit about online learning and child pornography and human trafficking. A lot of parents have been asking us about how safe is online learning during these times. As a teacher, I can tell you that many districts and schools and teachers are working constantly and actively to minimize the risk for your child and your students. And so we are constantly learning. We're trying to figure out how to safeguard as much as possible. However, as with anything online, nothing is ever going to be 100% safe, but we can find ways to minimize bad contact or dangerous contact, reduce the chances of a perpetrator coming into your child, into contact with your child. And so the first one is going to be about the responsibility of a teacher. The norm is that teachers want to take care of all students. However, you can see in the news that there's some bad teachers out there. One of the best ways to safeguard your child is to make sure that your teacher keeps that relationship in a professional level. Minimize that contact to be regulated through the school email. Any email that goes through the school server, okay, so that's a .edu most of the time, can be monitored by the district and by the school, by the principal. And so that minimizes the risk of any unprofessionalism happening or unprofessional material being sent out, like, provocative pictures or, emails that are not of the professional or learning nature. So reducing that risk, make sure that your child only contacts their teachers through their .edu or their school assigned email. The other thing is to make sure that teachers are only contacting the student through you as a parent. As a teacher, I always call the parent's cell phone, and if I need to talk to the student or if they tell me like, hey, do you want to talk to my child? I do it that way. I never contact the student directly through their private phone number or through their cell phone. Once again, this is to safeguard me and to safeguard the student. And so this is a way that parents can request that safeguard. They can ask the teacher, hey, you know what, if you ever need to contact my child, feel free to do so through me. Email me, or you can CC me in all the documents that you send to my child. You can also request to be invited into the Google Classroom if they're using Google Classroom. And some other educational platforms also allow for guardians and parents to be invited. So you can definitely ask your teachers to add you to those systems, so that way you can monitor what is happening in the classroom. You can become more informed. So that's from that part of the end of making sure that the teacher is doing their job and keeping that professional environment. The other one is through the social media and through all these other applications that teachers are using at a time. Like I said, teachers are trying to minimize the risk by becoming more informed and making sure that everything's kept professional, okay? However, as many of you have heard, in the beginning of this pandemic, there was some issues happening with online meetings where students were being hacked or school districts were being hacked by outsiders. Teachers have reduced this hacking by creating meetings, specific meeting IDs, and protected by passwords. keeping the chat rooms into only where the students can talk to the classroom as a whole instead of having private conversations. However, that does not guarantee 100% safety. So, one of the ways that parents can participate or can add that extra level of protection for your child is to monitor those meetings. One way to do this is by asking teachers to also invite you to the meeting. They might have to request their district for approval for this, but if it's a professional meeting, I don't see why you can't, as a parent, attend those Zoom meetings or Google Hangout meetings. Or you can request for the recording. One of the ways that districts and schools are safeguarding their teachers and their students is by having all online meetings recorded. This prevents, like I said, it's just a safeguard. So it prevents any wrongful communication. And the chats that happen during those Zoom meetings or those virtual meetings can also be recorded. So that is a way that you as a parent have a little bit more power or ability to see what is happening inside those learning environments. The other thing that you want to make sure is look for hidden apps on the phone. There's apps that look like a calculator, for example, that actually are databases where your student or your child can record or can save any pictures that don't want you to see, and they can send messages through there too. So, look at your child's phone. You can click on their apps and be like, hey, what does this do? What does this do? What does this do? Some parents might feel like this is a little bit intrusive. And, it might be, especially for when you're talking about the teenagers, those high school students. But remember, parents, that our job as parents is to keep our children safe. And that is exactly what you're doing. And you can go about this however, and it definitely has to be a conversation with your child. Do not be afraid to talk to them about child pornography and human trafficking online. Set some boundaries, of when they're going to be able to have their cell phone, what type of pictures they're allowed to send. A lot of students are not aware that even if they're saying sending provocative pictures to their classmates who are of the same age or to their boyfriend, and if they're still a minor, it's still considered child pornography. So please be aware that this is something that is happening. And not all states have revenge porn laws and so forth. So this is something that you definitely want to talk to your child about. Look through their phone. Hey, what is this app for? Look through their pictures. Why do you have that picture? And it's definitely try to keep it in a conversational manner rather than angry manner. And this prevents the student from closing off, or your child from closing off and not wanting to share the information. So if you go through your child's phone, right, and you see like, why are you taking this picture? The best way to go about it instead is to say, you know what, I don't appreciate you sending those pictures. Those pictures can be dangerous if they get leaked. Keeping that conversation going is better than completely shutting off and being in a reprimanded mode. And I know it's so hard. I know it's hard because we never want to see our child put themselves in danger that way. So please be aware that teachers and districts and schools are doing everything in your power to keep your child safe, that it is your responsibility to add those extra measures. Monitor the history, monitor their cell phone use, monitor those meetings, monitor the classrooms. All right. I hope this was helpful. Try to keep it short. If you have any questions, or if you want any specific information about any other apps that your child is using and how to add those extra measures, the extra safeguards, please feel free to contact us. We will do our research, we will contact the companies, we will do whatever we need to in order to keep your child safe and to ease you during this time. So please be aware, be strong, be empowered people, and I'll see you soon.